Star Wars 7x7, episode 1924. It's the end of the Skywalker saga with The Rise of Skywalker, but what does that mean for the fate of Kylo Ren? The results of a poll about that, as well as a couple more thoughts about the mystery of Rey's parents. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. So, the end of the Skywalker saga. Does that necessarily mean the end of Kylo Ren? One of the more obvious potential meanings of the fact that The Rise of Skywalker is the end of the Skywalker saga could mean that Kylo Ren is going to meet his doom in The Rise of Skywalker. That would certainly put an end to the Skywalker saga if it turns out that Rey is not, in fact, associated with the Skywalkers, or also if the story is really about the Anakin Skywalker saga, like if they've left the first name out of what they've been telling us so far, and it just means that they're going to resolve stuff about Anakin Skywalker and how he's being brought into stories, whether as Anakin or as Darth Vader, or some notion in that regard. But let's talk about Kylo Ren. I did a poll on Twitter asking folks what they thought about Kylo Ren's fate and The Rise of Skywalker. There were sort of two different variables that I wanted to explore. One of them being whether he would actually survive the events of The Rise of Skywalker, and another one about whether he would be redeemed. So, of course, Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader, was redeemed at the end of Return of the Jedi and also died. So that's, one of four combinations that would be possible. So I put it out there on Twitter, and the four possible options were that A, he would be redeemed but die by the end of the movie. B, he would be redeemed and he would survive the events of the movie. C, that he would still be evil by the end of the movie and die. Or D, that he would still be evil by the end of the movie and survive. And of those four options put out there for a vote, the one that fans think is the most probable is that he is going to be redeemed and die. That's with 42% of the vote. And the least favored option, the least likely scenario fans think, is that he is going to still be evil and survive. And that is at 17%. And it is kind of fascinating to look at it just on the single axis, the either die or survive and the redeem or still be evil situation. So 65% of voters think that Kylo Ren is going to die as opposed to surviving. So nearly 2/3 of people polled say that he's going to die. And as far as redemption or still being evil, well, that one's a little lower. 61% of folks think that he is going to be redeemed by the end of the movie. Only 39% say that he will still be evil by the end of the movie. So, as you'll recall in that mind-blowing moment in Revenge of the Sith, when they're trying to escape off General Grievous's ship and Chancellor Palpatine tells Anakin to leave the injured Obi-Wan behind, and Anakin says his fate will be the same as ours, and it turns out that they all die on Death Stars, it sounds like Kylo Ren's fate is going to be the same as Darth Vader's, but does that mean he's going to die on a Death Star? Well, yeah, that's another question entirely. It certainly does look like they've got some massive weapon available to them based on that one shot in the D-23 footage of that continuous red laser blasting down on what looks like it might be Kijimi, maybe not. Maybe it's another planet entirely, but you get what I mean. All right, we're going to talk about Rey's parents and a couple of things that we might have jumped to conclusion-wise after the break. Stay tuned. Hey Rebel Rouser, I've made some changes to the asteroid belt level at patreon.com/SW7x7, and they are all with sponsors in mind. So if you want to get the word out about your business, your product, your service to a dedicated Star Wars audience, then please check out patreon.com/SW7x7 and look for the asteroid belt level for details. Again, that's patreon.com/SW7x7. Welcome back. So I'm preparing for the Hope episode on The Force Awakens, and I've been thinking about Rey, and she really is kind of hope personified. But as I've been thinking about Rey and her circumstances, it occurred to me that we don't necessarily know what happened in that Force back vision that she had that we saw in The Force Awakens. Yes, we see an image of her looking at a spaceship leaving, and what's his face? Unkar Plutt is holding her arm, telling her to be quiet, and she's going, no! And she is approximately 5 years old at this time. But we don't actually know for sure that the people on that ship leaving are her parents. And I've been doing some digging to try and find any source that would say that, yes, this is definitively the scene where her parents abandon her, but I can't find anything that says, yeah, this is it. So if you have a source that says, yeah, that's the scene where her parents ditch her, then by all means, let me know. But in point of fact, it's entirely plausible that young Rey could have different parents and have been abandoned by those parents one way or another and left in the care of other people entirely. And those other people, those caretakers, could be the ones who are taking off in that spaceship going into the wild blue yonder. And it's entirely possible that something bad has happened to them in the intervening years as well, that Rey hasn't talked about, which, you know, she doesn't have to tell us everything on screen, and Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams don't have to tell us everything on screen, and we don't have to hear it from other writers that are documenting her journey in books and comics and that sort of thing. For all we know, there could be a set of adoptive parents or people who are taking care of her, if you will, who have told her that her parents will be coming back for her someday, but never actually told her the truth about who her parents were. And maybe Kylo Ren is telling the truth that they were nobodies and that they sold her off for drinking money, sold her off to some other set of people, and that's who she's upset about when she is seeing that ship leaving in the Force back vision. I'm just saying that what we think we know about Rey may not actually be the case. There are more possibilities than you or I may have considered. And I think that's rather exciting, personally. I like the possibility that there are more story options available to us than we might have considered. So, very cool, in my opinion, my humble opinion. And that is going to do it for my consideration of Rey's parents and also for Kylo Ren's fate. And that is going to do it for today's episode of the show as well. Thank you so much for joining me for it, as always. And may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox. It is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other related Star Wars items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2019 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.